All right, I need my hands to talk, so I gotta strap myself in. So thanks to Dr. Gallagher, I think that I want to come back with you one day. I mean, it is so interesting because, yes, people are graduates from RUS, very different times. Let's just get that out in the open. What are you saying? Nothing. But I think, and also we've had different career paths, and so mine, I think, as you know, I've been, a student just like you for a lot of it. Then I also had the opportunity to continue working with students the whole time after, during my training. I did an internship and a residency, so that was an additional 4 years. And because of that, it did give a little bit of a different perspective, because I think compared to general practice where you do get to know your clients and you sort of establish more of a long-lasting rapport and working in emergency, and even with clients you do get to know. I mean, I was only in that program for 4 years, so I wasn't permanently there, didn't have lifelong clients. You interact with the public in ways that really are eye-opening if you've never really worked with the public at large before. It's a busy emergency room. You really do meet a lot of people, and we kind of have our head, in our books for so much of our lives. Anybody who goes on and does graduate school, medical school, vet school. And so you do learn a lot, and a lot of it you don't even realize may have some nuance based on your gender, right, or your gender identity. You definitely don't have as many overt encounters where it's obvious, but there can be this underscore of, wow, like Dr. Gallagher mentioned, would I be being spoken to like this? Like if I wasn't a woman or, a girl, in the middle of the night with ratty hair and stained scrubs talking to this, boastful person who's kind of in my face. And some of that was a little frightening, just because you're like, well, what would drive somebody to have such an encounter with someone in my position who's clearly, like all of us, are just trying to do our job. And so it really forced me to question, certain things, well, is this something that, is this the way I'm carrying myself? Is this a communication issue for me? Was I being confrontational? I think that a lot of times we go into autopilot when we're doing our job. You're up and coming clinicians, and when you are a clinician, you'll know that you do that. You sort of just put on doctor brain, and nothing else really matters. And you talk to everyone, I think, basically the same, with compassion, but you have to be straightforward. And in the emergency room, everything's at a faster pace. So you really don't have time to establish a long-standing, trusting relationship. You really have to just get the job done and advocate for your patient. And in the midst of that, form a relationship with the client, and some of them are a little more prickly than others. So while Dr. Gallagher was talking, I did think of some examples, and I will just talk about them first to sort of pick up where she had left off or laid the groundwork. So some of them are pretty benign. For instance, I had once, again in the middle of the night, a woman, older couple, very worked up. Clearly, it's often not about this veterinary situation. There's always something else going on. And I have a theory that people store a lot of their emotions in their animals, and it brings out a lot of stuff. It's probably similar to working, in human hospitals, especially pediatrics, or whenever it's there's an innocent loved one that's the subject. It just sort of stirs other stuff up. People often are holding it together, and that is the last straw. And it's a real phenomenon, and none of us are trained really in dealing with that. So it's kind of on-the-job training. And I think a lot of these confrontations can stem from it. So this woman and I don't remember all the specifics, but it wasn't a life or death situation. Well, I guess it might have been, I don't know. But it was something where maybe euthanasia was on the table of this part of the discussion, but it wasn't this was a very complicated case. I felt I had laid everything out very clearly, and she was bickering with her husband the whole time. She threw a water bottle at him and told him to go wait in the lobby. And I was like, what is going on? What? I'm tired. And then I'm all right, well, I need to find the most sane person here and have a discussion with them. My options were limited in that moment. And she just looked me in the eye and goes, can you euthanize him? And I was like, your husband? And she was like, mm. I was like, oh gosh, like they did not teach me this in med school. And I mean, that situation, like it kind of worked. I think we had to get like campus security back when I was up at Tufts involved. And in the middle of the night, like, you know, for them it's very exciting. They're called up to the hospital in this like little sleepy New England town to come and help you out. But it's just nice to have a little backup. So on that note, don't ever be afraid to ask for backup, whether it's another coworker or if you are on a campus and you have security or if it is local police. Like it's never, you're never overreacting just to have someone there. They don't have to get involved. They could just be a presence. Unfortunately, we do live in a time where we hear about horrifying things, right, that are happening, violent things coming out of nowhere. And I've never personally felt personally unsafe at work, but every now and then something like that flashes through your head and you're like, it would just be nice to have someone else here. And then there was another time where a family had driven a couple of hours with a dog who needed a pericardiocentesis, pericardial effusion, and bleeding around the heart. And this is a procedure we did with a lot of regularity in our emergency room, and referring vets in New England would often send people from far away. These people, I think, came from Maine, so they've been driving like a few hours. The dog was okay, but like we needed to move quickly. And I explained everything to both a nice couple, and the guy was just like looking at he just looked sad, like he loved his dog. And the woman's like doing what the women do, making eye contact, like asking smart questions, and like won't look at me. And I'm like, I mean, oftentimes I think because men have a harder time like dealing with those emotions. I think that's just a fact, and not, I mean, a little bit of an overgeneralization, but women are by nature a little more accommodating or a little bit more in touch with that ability to feel and discuss emotions. So I understand why that might be more difficult for men. So he doesn't say anything, and I explain the procedure. I'm going to stick, a needle with some local anesthetic through the in between the ribs, into the chest, into the sac around the heart, drain the blood, and then we'll buy some time to make some more decisions and go from there. So he all of a sudden looks up, like looks me up and down, and goes, "Sounds hard." And the woman was like, "Okay." And I was like, well, in all fairness, again, it's like the middle of the night, and I'm wearing my ratty scrubs and ratty hair, and I don't look older than I am, maybe a little more sleep deprived, but I just looked at him and said, well, your vet sent you here, and like, I'm all you got. And I mean, it was fine, and I don't think he meant it the way it came off. I think he was emotionally charged when he said it, but I remember being like, I don't know if you would talk to my colleague like that, or if I had brushed my hair, if he had talked to me like that. I don't know. So these are like the little things, the subtle things that'll come up. And then there have been times where in the emergency room we have to make some surgical decisions, especially with like broken bones or orthopedic trauma, like pelvic fractures, things that we may not rush into the emergency room today, but we're about to ask families for a huge commitment. And again, I sometimes, after a while of doing this, would feel like I understand why I might be a hard sell. They look kind of young, like we're going 1,000,000 miles an hour in the emergency room and wearing a ratty scrubs. And I would sometimes just like go and get a colleague who is in the surgery department, it's like well-dressed, button-down shirt, like always well-groomed, because he was seeing appointments or what have you, and I'd be like, I need you to sell like $6,000 worth of orthopedic surgery to this nice family. And like I had learned that like you had to sort of play that game a little bit. Like it didn't mean that I didn't have confidence in what I was saying and the way I assessed the situation. But like I get it, the visual sometimes does matter. And not everyone will work in a job where you only wear scrubs all the time. And I do think that like, presentation, the way you carry yourself, all that matters. And I bet if you asked those clients, like they probably weren't worried at all about like my appearance or who I was. When people are really worried about their pets, they just, like whoever walks in the room, they're just so desperate for you to tell them something hopeful. So I think that that's usually the case, but I can't tell you how many times a colleague of mine, Dr. Mark Garneau sold thousands of dollars of orthopedic surgery because he was well put together and a guy. I really do think that was the case, but whatever gets the best for the patient at the end of the day. And those are things we can kind of laugh about. There's definitely been times where I felt the confrontation. Sometimes, usually, but not always, it's like with younger guys who like want to look tough. I don't know. But there is the case of some parvo puppies, and that's always, we have to have a realistic conversation. People have often spent a lot of money buying the puppy from the pet store, the breeder, and they're not prepared to spend this extra money treating this disease, and yada, yada, yada. And just they can get very bossy and start saying, well, why can't you just do this? Or the breeder says to just do that. And I do see sometimes they get up out of their chair, like they want to look bigger, like Dr. Gallagher said, like they do. And it's, I think, a subconscious thing. And I mean, there's no way that I'm gonna like win a physical competition when this happens. It's that funny. Like, I mean, my goal isn't to get into a fist fight with them. So I try to be as disarming as possible. Like if somebody stands up to do that, like I'll often like sit down or like get to the other side of the table just to sort of be like, look, like I see what you're doing and like let's just dial it back. I probably the most blatant memory I have an instance like that is when I finally just said to a guy, like now you're just a guy yelling at a girl in an exam room, like out of vet hospital. Like this stopped being client and doctor. This is just like man yelling at a woman, and that's how I felt. And like I just said it because sometimes, especially because it's not a situation where it's a long-term client. Well, like I have to go see the next emergency, and sometimes when you're kind of like pushed to your wit's end, that's when like you stand up for your, like my back was up against the wall, it felt like, and I stood up for myself. I didn't say it like with my hackles up, but I was just like, this is really happening. Like Dr. Gallagher's reaction, like, whoa, this guy is like in my face, yelling. And that was during daytime hours, so we were able to get like other people involved and get like, I kind of took myself out of like, he needs to make a decision, let me know when he's made it, I'm gonna move on and do my job. It's not good for you. There have been times where I've had interns that's happened to when I've been overseeing them. I'm very protective. Like there's kind of a no tolerance policy. I get security to either walk by or like just stand outside the exam room. I make sure that they leave the exam room door open. I always offer like, I'll go with you, but I don't think that's the answer. I don't think like more women in front of an already angry man is the answer. But I think we need to just drive home a message like you can't bully us. And we also aren't just gonna bend to your will because you think you're tough. And then the sort of last example of this is when you think your client is actually like getting treated this way or bullied. There's a lot of times where I'm dealing with a female client, just like that story before, and there's a male client who's either not there, who's like on the phone making some decisions, and you can sense when there's like an argument happening. And I've definitely had like a complete turnaround in the persona of the woman I've been talking to after she makes that phone call. And all of a sudden, no, we just want to euthanize. No, we just want to take him home. And that's really tough because you're like, whoa, like, do you want to euthanize? Like, where is this coming from? And I would say probably like once or twice I've been in a situation where I don't feel like I can say I trust the judgment. I feel like there's some strings being pulled behind the scenes and she's not speaking for herself. And in those situations, like it's complicated, but being at a university hospital where we did have some hierarchy, you just get the right people involved to make a decision that we just need some more time to do some stuff. Like you can stabilize, well, you guys sort this out, but I don't feel comfortable euthanizing an animal where 5 minutes ago you were very much into the plan we had talked about. Like I'm actually quite worried for what's gonna happen to this woman when she goes home. But we can't take that stuff on. Like we do have to make boundaries for where our jobs leave off and where their lives start. But in situations like that, we have to just advocate for the animals, right? Because that's ultimately our job. And people are so trusting. They are, and especially, I really don't like the scenario where there's a guy on the other end of the phone line, because he's not there, you can't look at him. You can't like have that sense of like, come on, like, let's just be a little reasonable here. And like, you've committed to this animal as your pet. Like, we're not being realistic with our recommendations. It's often like, I personally feel that there's a degree of power. Like, no, with my word, like I've spoken, you guys aren't going to change my mind. And again, that's not coming from a place of best interest for the animal. All right, so I mean, those are a lot of the big topics I wanted to hit on. I think that it's also important when we go into these situations or throughout sort of this journey, that we try not to always think of ourselves like in that identity, in that gender identity role. There's a lot of other reasons that don't have nothing to do with what you look like or what gender you are or anything like that. So I think that it's hard to not be aware of it, but I think that those overt situations are few and far between. But there is this sort of subtle undertone that can be obvious, that you can start to feel after a while, and it's hard, like you may not even notice it's there. And during my residency, like I did notice it, and probably people around me like maybe didn't notice that it was happening. I think if like people are honest with themselves, like there is sometimes some favoritism in a female-dominated profession, dominated by female, overseers or female mentors. When you get like a couple of the guys into the group, it's like people might act differently around them, and it's not so obvious that it's like harassment or anything like that. But you do, it's just like anyone who has siblings, like it doesn't take you long to figure out if you're not the favorite. Right. And it's frustrating. And you you are kind of at risk of devolving into this, like, it's not there. Like, how come he gets all the good, good projects? Or how come, like, you give him all the attention? I mean, it's a knee-jerk reaction, but being a little bit more cognizant of that and just realizing